Where are you going, my little one? In hope these empty streets I wend. I've seen a star rise in the east, and I'm looking for a friend. Tooroo-loo-roo-loo-lay, tooroo-loo-roo-lay. Where are you going, good shepherd folk? From a lowly valley we ascend. A wondrous vision sent us here. We're looking for a friend. Tooroo-loo-roo-lay, tooroo-loo-roo-lay. You learned men, where are you going? Our soul's long journey we would end. Therefore we've come to Bethlehem. We're looking for a friend. Tooroo-loo-roo-lay, tooroo-loo-roo-lay. Good people, let me come with you. Perhaps he's just around this bend. But whether near or far, I too have been looking for a friend. Tooroo-loo-roo-lay, tooroo-loo-roo-lay.
Good morning, everyone. How is everybody? Thank you, everyone, for coming today to our Christmas Sunday service. Wow. It's our joy to be here. And I'd like to start with Yogananda's Christmas greeting from 1937. And I'm reading this. So he wrote this to students, to friends, and all. Christ comes every year, newly cradled in our freshly awakened devotion. Though Jesus was born long ago, we are happy to find his Christ wisdom born in our joy every year at Christmas. Let us celebrate Christ in a new way this year by remodeling the cradle of our consciousness and by decorating it with the dazzling soul qualities of brotherhood, humbleness, faith, meditative desire, willpower, self-control, renunciation, and unselfishness. These are the ornaments which our baby Christ ever loves to play with. We will celebrate his birth by exercising imperishable gifts, by making ourselves and our friends happier, by being better, and by more love of God. With the coming of the omnipresent baby Christ, the cradle of our consciousness will expand and improve and keep developing until it can fully hold him. Let us prepare to clean this cradle, rusty with selfishness, divine indifference, and sense attachments, by polishing it with deep, daily divine ecstasy, introspection, and discrimination, that we may celebrate the birth of the newborn babe of Christ consciousness on the coming Christmas, everlastingly and joyously. I wish you all an uplifting Christmas and an enlightening new year. So, such a beautiful message from an avatar. Our topics this morning reminded me of the story it was the day after Christmas, and a pastor was walking around the church, and he went up to the manger scene, and he noticed that the baby Jesus was missing. And so immediately he goes outside, and he sees a little boy pulling a red wagon. And wouldn't you guess, in the red wagon, what was in the red wagon? The baby Jesus. So he goes up to the little boy, and he says, well, hello, my little friend. Where did you get the baby Jesus? And the little boy said, well, I got him from the church. And the pastor said, well, why did you take him from the church? And the little boy replied, well, about a week before Christmas, I prayed to the Lord Jesus that if I got a red wagon for Christmas, I would give him a ride around the block in it. What a beautiful example of divine remembrance. This affirmation today that we are bliss eternal, we are bliss infinite, eternal love, is why the masters came. They came for us. They came to show us that. Not for themselves, not to say how great they were, but to show us who we really are. When we were in the Holy Land on our recent trip in a church in Nazareth, as you walked into the church, there was this sign, and it was written in maybe 12 different languages, one line after the other, and it said, "For you I was born." And as I was walking in, I almost missed it because I was so anxious or wanting to get into the church, but there was somebody that stopped, and I think they were French. I don't really know the French language, but it sounded like it. And this person was pointing to the you, for you. And he was pointing to his friend or his family member, for you, see? He was saying, see, look, for you I was born. That's why the masters came. And we're celebrating not only the birth of Jesus in this tiny little form many, many years ago, but we're celebrating that birth of divine awareness in all of us, as Diva was saying in the beginning of the service. And just like a tiny baby needs to be fed and taken care of, so we too, when we first come onto the spiritual path, when we first begin to really awaken to the Christ consciousness, we need to feed that. We need to take care of that. And so Yogananda recommends that we have, in addition to the social Christmas, we have a spiritual Christmas. And so what are some ways that we can awaken that awareness? Of course, we can meditate more deeply. Yogananda started the tradition of the 8-hour meditation on December 23rd. It was his spiritual Christmas. We have one coming up in 2 days on Tuesday. Come. If you can't come for all of it, come for part of it. If you can't come for part of it, come for an hour of it. Come for a minute of it. If you can't come here and you're working that day, spend some time if you can. Even if it's a few moments, spend some time in silence, enjoying the efforts of many other people who've made this a tradition, of feeling for Christ's presence more deeply. How else can we awaken that awareness? Is by serving, right? And by sharing love. Always asking, how can I serve you, Lord? How can I serve you better? How can I share your love more deeply? Sometimes it's in those really great big things, right, where we can really serve in a huge way. We can create a big project. But then, many times it's in those moments. It's in those little ways. Are we smiling? Are we offering love? Are we offering kindness in those moments? Remembering that each gift, any gift that we give, is truly unique. We had the opportunity to watch The Little Drummer Boy last week, and it's the claymation version. It's old. It's amazing. I hadn't seen it for years, but I remembered it as soon as we started watching it. And it's such a touching story. We know the story. The beginning of the story, he gets hurt, the little drummer boy. Something really tragic happens, and he finds his heart is closed. But by the time he gets to the end of the story, he sees the light, and he sees the baby Jesus, and it's really touching. And he comes up, and you could just almost see, like the Grinch, the heart expanding. You could see the little drummer boy's heart just opening. But then he sees that the wise men have come and they've offered these great gifts of myrrh and frankincense and all of this, and they're motioning for him to come up to the manger, and he doesn't want to go. He goes, he's saying, well, what do I have? And they're like, just go. And as soon as he goes up and he sees that love, and you just see the love and the light fill this little boy, he just smiles, and he's not worried about it. He's not worried about what he can bring. But then he looks down, and he has his drum around him, and he starts playing his drum. That's his own unique gift. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, even if you offer a fruit, a flower, even a leaf in my name, it will be accepted with great joy. Great joy. Doesn't have to be a big thing. And then we need to keep also, how do we keep that awareness going? Keep us strong and steadfast. Stay focused. Do your spiritual practices. Come to events like this where we can support each other, remind each other of what we're doing, because it's hard to stay on the path. It's hard to stay steadfast. But come, support each other. And then we realize that God isn't far away. I'm reminded of the story of the man who was researching churches across the country, and he started on the West Coast, and his first church was in San Francisco. And as he walked around taking pictures and doing notes, he notices this golden telephone in the corner, and then it says, $10,000 a minute, a direct call to God. And he goes, well, that's interesting. I'm going to go find the pastor and ask him if this is true. Finds the pastor, and the pastor says, yes, this is a golden telephone. For $10,000 a minute, you can talk directly to God. He says, okay. No, and he didn't pay at that. And he goes up to Seattle, sees the same golden telephone with the same sign, $10,000 a minute, direct call to God. He makes his way across the country then, probably Salt Lake City, Denver, Iowa, I'm sure, Chicago, all the way. And then he comes down to Tennessee. And then he spots that, and all along he's spotting the same telephone, the same sign, till he gets to Tennessee, sees that same telephone, but this time it says, direct call to God, 25 cents a minute. And that really perplexed him. So he goes, I'm going to go find the pastor and ask him what this means. And the pastor says, oh, yes, it's a direct call to God. And he said, well, how come all these other churches I visited, it was $10,000 a minute? And the pastor just smiles really sweetly. He says, son, you're in the South now, so it's a direct call. You're in the South now, so it's a, did I say
it's
that?
It's a local call.
It's a local call. I missed the punchline. It's a local call. So you're in the South now. As it said in our affirmation, God is, and Yogananda has said to us, he's the nearest of the near, the dearest of the dear. Let's feel for his presence ever more deeply. We still have a few more days left of this beautiful season with our all-day meditation on Tuesday and then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Let's together dive deep, feel for his presence, but knowing all along that God is with us. He's right there, loving us, guiding us, joining us in our efforts. So I think I'll end so Diva can share also. But God bless you all and have a beautiful, beautiful Christmas season.
I too appreciate the opportunity to connect with everybody in the sacred season. It's odd that we have 11 months of usual life, I won't say normal, usual life, and then for about a month, 5-6 weeks, we bend ourselves and find ourselves bent toward the presence of Christ, hearts expanding, a sense of consideration. There's a beautiful story from World War I when trench warfare was happening, and this was over in Europe someplace, and the Germans on one side and the Brits on the other, and they were well entrenched, and it was bitterly cold and just about as nasty as it could possibly get in trench warfare. And there they were, and Christmas Eve came, and there was this pause, and into the pause, the one of the two sides, somebody in the trenches started singing Christmas carols, a Christmas carol. And it was picked up by a handful of people on that side in that trench. And at the end of it, there was again this beautiful moment of stillness. And then those in the other trench, on the other side, responded in kind with a Christmas carol in their language. And back and forth it went until suddenly, I think it was one of the Brits, but somebody popped up out of the trench with a soccer ball and kicked it. And before long, the trenches literally emptied out, and they sang together, they played ball together, they rejoiced in their common humanity. And it's said that when the next day, when Christmas came, all of the soldiers had to be replaced because they couldn't convince them to go back to fighting. All the superficial things that we think are so terribly important, that mask our common humanity, that mask our sense of connection and oneness with life and with each other. Let them wash away in this holy season. Let them disappear in the presence of God, in the presence of the Christ consciousness, in the joy and the light of His presence inside. And let's make it so that Christmas isn't just for this month, and then January 1st we go back to usual life. It's not normal life. Normal life is Christmas. Normal life is Christ. Normal life is the joy and the connection. Let's hold on to that. I ran across about 25 years ago, somebody gave me a Christmas letter. Many of you know who Fra Angelico is, Fra Giovanni. He was a monk in Florence. And he's known a lot for the frescoes that he left at San Marcos in Florence. But he was an abbot. He was a very highly evolved soul. And he wrote this letter. I thought it was to his brother monks, but it wasn't. It was actually to a countess who he'd been counseling. And he writes to her, "I am your friend, and my love for you goes deep. There is nothing I can give you which you have not got. But there is much, very much, that while I cannot give it, you can take. No heaven can come to us unless our hearts find rest in it today. Take heaven. No peace lies in the future which is not hidden in this present little instant. Take peace. The gloom of this world is but a shadow. Behind it, yet within our reach, is joy. There is radiance and glory in the darkness, could we but see. And to see we have only to look. I beseech you to look. Life is so generous a giver, but we, judging its gifts by the covering, cast them away as ugly or heavy or hard. Remove the covering, and you will find beneath it a living splendor, woven of love, by wisdom with power. Welcome it, grasp it, and you touch the angel's hand that brings it to you. Everything we call a trial, a sorrow, or a duty, believe me, that angel's hand is there. The gift is there. And the wonder of an overshadowing presence. Our joys too, be not content with them as joys. They too conceal diviner gifts. Life is so full of meaning and purpose, so full of beauty beneath its covering, that you will find earth but cloaks your heaven. Courage then to claim it, that is all. But courage you have, and the knowledge that we are all pilgrims together, wending through unknown territory on our way home. And so at this time I greet you, not quaint as the world sends greetings, but with profound esteem, and with the prayer that for you now and forever the day breaks and the shadows flee away. The thought is, music tells the story to our hearts in ways that mere words seldom do. So we thought we would finish our Sunday service prior to the Festival of Light by having a small concert of beautifully uplifted, divinely inspired Christmas music. So if we could have the choir come up, that'd be lovely.
Once there lived a tiny nightingale in the ancient land of Israel. Not a note he ever sang until that night when Christ was born. That night, no song he did sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ was born. On that night he came upon a field there upon our shepherds to sleep did yield. For none knew what wonders the dark concealed that night when Christ was born. That night, no song he did sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ was born. Suddenly an angel host appeared with their songs, the song of darkness clear. And the shepherds awoke, God's host revered that night when Christ was born. That night, no song he did sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ was born. Then the nightingale did fly up high till he joined the angels in the sky. In his joy he opened his beak to cry that night when Christ was born. That night, no song he did sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ was born. As he tried to chirp that holy name, suddenly his voice in music came. And with angel choirs he did proclaim that night when Christ was born. That night, no song he did sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ was born. Ever since that night, the nightingale every heart with music doth prepare. And his favorite song it is the tale of that night when Christ was born. That night, no song he did sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ was born. Then let us, if we would sweetly sing, join the angels praising Christ the King, that day to our hearts once more may bring that night when Christ was born. That night, no song we can sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ is born. That night, no song we can sing, so wise men tell, till that night when Christ is born. He conveyed truth and grace. Then 3 wise men came from afar, guided by a heavenly star. Then 3 wise men came from afar, guided by a heavenly star. Christ, the light of God, had descended. Christ, the light of God, had come, that receiving him, all might be saved, all might be saved. 3 wise men came, guided by a star, to do honor and welcome the Christ born on earth. 3 wise men came, guided by a star, to do honor and welcome the Christ born on earth. Long ago there was a little shed, every mighty kings did bow their heads to a gentle babe of low degree, whom they called the Son of Mary. Who tell to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger lay? Could so many hearts to love persuade, this holy Son of Mary? Shepherds came and knelt in wonder there, seeing him in light beyond compare, and his eyes